even think about that.
They got rid of a city park, Humboldt Park, and sold it to Bacino. What was it, $1?
Yeah, it was $1.
$1?
$1.
$1.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Coby Owens.
Shané Darby.
And welcome to The Source. I am so excited that we have everybody back. It took several months. I mean, you on vacation, you on vacation. You fighting for the world, you fighting for the world. And I'm just sitting here saying, when are we all going to come back together? Well, it's a joy to have both of you back. Did you enjoy your vacation? I know last time we were together, you were sharing how you were just going to go away and get rid of the phone and everything. Did you really do it?
I did exactly that.
Okay, you smell a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel better. I feel rejuvenated.
Okay.
And I feel like my nervous system reset.
Oh,
you feel me?
For those of you out there, I know you're probably like, thank the Lord.
Thank the Lord. Yeah, because when I first came back was when I heard about the mayor's response to the community.
We're going to get in there.
So, you know what I said? It's all good. Okay. Like, I just came back from vacation.
You didn't jump on top of the hood.
You feel me? I didn't jump on it, too. Okay. You feel me?
Well, that's excellent. And Coby, last week you came back and you were with us, and I was very glad. You done got a lot of nerves. People upset about your comments. And they're not upset. They're kind of buying into the fact of what has happened. So we're going to really use it as an opportunity to talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. But what we usually do at the top of the hour, I want to really talk about this uptick in shootings in the city of Wilmington. Now, you may say, well, there's nothing in the news. And that's how I usually look at things. Where is it in the news? It's not in the news, but I've had people reporting, people are sharing on the east side as well as some in the north side saying how they're shooting. One woman said that she was in her living room and she had to get on the floor. There was so many shots in her neighborhood, and she lives on the north side of the city. What is going on with, for one, no reporting, two, with all the shooting that's going on?
So, yeah, it's been very little reporting. Mm-hmm. I will say over north side, there was a shooting, I believe on Tuesday, a 39-year-old man was killed over there. I believe he is the 13th individual to be killed this year. But another statistic I want to just point out, of the known shootings that we've had so far in the city of Wilmington, we've had 104 people shot this year so far, which is 2 ahead of where we were at around the same time last year. So like we've been saying,
that's what's reported.
That's what's been reported, but maybe not has hit the media. We have not seen 104 shootings in the media, right? We have not seen the police department come out and give press conference on what's actually going on in the city like they do in other cities. But there's been 104 people who've been harmed this year and has been affected.
Yeah, you're not going to see that. So we ask why it's not happening. We just need to understand that it's not going to happen under the current mayor administration we're under. We're not going to get the reporting. We're not going to get the press release. We're not going to get the press statements about these 104 shootings. It's just not going to happen. We just got to accept that, man.
Well, no, I don't really want to accept it but I guess it's bad press for the city when you're trying to advertise downtown and get people to believe that everything is safe and everything is calm. But when you have seniors who are saying they have to get on the floor because they don't know where the shots are coming from, one said that one did go through a window.
I think the focus then is the next group, the next administration, right? So focusing on the next election and holding currently right now 2 people who are running accountable, both of them, to ask them, what are you going to do about, or how are you going to look at gun violence in our city? We need to ask them that question. I'm sorry, the Mayor Mike Przicki, it's dead water. I'm just being honest with him. It's dead water at this point. So now the focus is the next administration, holding them accountable to address gun violence. That's just my opinion.
Do you have personal security? Because the mayor going to get you.
I don't care.
You're getting on his nerve. I can feel it.
No, I wouldn't just say just the Nets. Look at who's currently there on council right now.
Oh, council too. Yeah,
who's
council
just
too.
follow lock and step
wow.
with what the mayor's doing
I
and
agree.
not really holding him accountable. If they are doing that, those are the people you also need to vote out when this 2024 election cycle comes up.
I agree.
And what we probably need to do if we're going to do due diligence is we probably need to start calling some of those individuals out, because it is becoming stressful that if we, let's say we get another mayor, but we have the same mindset of city council where, okay, we're not going to deal with this issue. We're not going to support it. Will we be in the same predicament?
Well, I do want to say that city council, they're going to argue that they have addressed it, right? And that we have done that, right? So with the ARPA funds, we went to New Jersey, did this little tour of how they're handling their gun violence there through their Office of Violence Prevention. And we started the first steps here in partnering with some organizations to address gun violence. They're supposed to be actively working out in the streets now to address gun violence, to do gun violence prevention.
Right.
No, intervention. Gun violence intervention. It's not prevention. It's intervention work that they're doing. So that's happening now. We used our ARPA funds, but ARPA funds expire, I think, in 2025. I think they expire. But as a city council, we have not, and I suggested that we do it last budget. So I hope this budget, I'm going to suggest it again, that we actually put funding into funding an Office of Violence Prevention that actually really looks at violence, not even just gun violence, but different types of violences that are happening in the city, to have an office who is working on that. And I think it should not be a government entity, but something where we fund for another someone who is a third party to run that, to be able to provide those services. But outside of doing that, to have police reporting, you need administration and a city council who's willing to hold our police department and police chief accountable. We tried to do that, right? We did that one time with a resolution. And then we got the administration to agree to do an assessment, and they said yes, and never did the assessment. So they put the money in the budget for the assessment and never did it.
So let me ask you, you passed a resolution. Is there anything stronger you can do to hold the mayor's administration?
As an individual or as a council?
As a council.
Yeah, there's more I could do. No, there's way more that can be done, but that's the most I'm telling you what the most that's going to be happening is that resolution. And they're going to say, we passed the resolution. We asked the mayor administration to do an outside assessment on the police department. So what I'm saying is city council is going to argue that they took the steps to address gun violence by, the New Jersey thing and with trying to hold our police chief accountable. But there's no real accountability.
What I think I hear Coby saying is the accountability from the council level needs to now say, the mayor did not do what he's supposed to do.
Exactly.
Should there be a reprimand? Should there be something so that on his record, it is very clear that you didn't do what you're supposed to do?
So the one clearest thing that they can do, and I'll give a shout out to you and Trippy, and I believe Oliver as well too, who voted against the budget. They don't have to pass his budget. That's the one thing that they can use to leverage the mayor into doing pretty much anything. That's what's been done. It got done under Baker. It got done under Dennis Williams. Loretta Walsh used to do it all the time to make sure she got what she wanted, right? Yeah. So again, it can be used if you have 7 council people willing to stand.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's what council is going to argue, that they have done enough around gun violence. I'm telling you what they're going to say, because you would say that council hasn't done anything. They're going to argue, and I know they listen to this show, right? And then they're going to call you and text you and say, but we have done this. So I'm telling you what they're going to say to you.
Well, you know I'm not you.
It's not enough.
Absolutely. And then I think what we really need to pay attention to, for those of you who watch us, it's not about a political thing with me. It's about bringing you news and bringing you the reality. When you have seniors who are saying, look, I had to jump on the floor every night, it's a part of the ritual to hear a gunshot and hear sirens running, but yet we don't see any reporting on it. Yet we don't see any prevention or intervention that we can feel. Now, it's all right to say stuff is on paper, but do we feel the result of it? I think we all should be able to live just like they live on the riverfront. I think everybody should feel safe. Parents, seniors are not able to go on their lawn anymore, or should I say sit on their front porch, because if gunshots start breaking out, how do they get inside their homes? It's sad. It's just simply sad. It's another thing I wanted to do in our first segment of the show is to talk about the gentleman who kind of is the landlord for the Adams Street massacre, as I called it, where he was fined a little $5,000, but now they have increased it to like $30,000, $33,000. But what's going on with that situation?
This is someone, AJ Pacormi, is someone who has supported the mayor. In years prior to him running for office, he supported people like Brigida Fields, who's on council, and many other council people as well, too. Back in, 2022?
Adams Street?
2021. Into 2021, I believe. 27 people.
Go ahead.
27 people were pretty much came home to find out that their apartments were condemned.
It was May of 22.
May? Oh, wow.
Of 22, yeah.
They had just paid rent. Mm-hmm. It was like the first or second of the month. They had just paid rent. Came all these violations. A building, the wall outside had been falling down. The city came and condemned. City had no plan in action to move these people.
Right.
AJ has business licenses, multiple business licenses with the city of Wilmington that have been renewed since then. AJ is a slumlord and a scum. He has now 3 times these condemned properties on 8th and Adams. He has put back on Zillow and all these other websites and taken application fees to fill these properties with no intention of putting anyone in them because they're condemned right now. The city keeps playing these games. It should be illegal, but you have to sue. And a lot of people don't have, for $50, they're not going to go through the struggle of trying to sue him, which is how he continues to get over. He was supposed to make all these renovations and fix some of these problems. He didn't. He was fined $5,000. Oh, all right. Well, now I'm going to go fix them. I'll take it to $5,000 too. I don't believe he paid the $5,000, right? And now he's been fined another $33,000. Guess what? He's probably still not going to fix the issues. He's fixed some things, but he's not going to fix the main things. I think if the city truly cared about addressing slum landlords, they would revoke all his business licenses in the city of Wilmington. Now, when Maria Cabrera first got back on council in January 2021, she pushed for the blight bill. The mayor 7 had the votes and everything and just bullied it through. After months and months, actually almost 2 years of organizing against it, hundreds of citizens coming out and speaking out against it behind closed doors. The mob. Behind closed doors, Maria thought she was doing something, and that plan has failed. So then they came down to the General Assembly and said, hey, give us eminent domain. Give us APAS bundling. And hey, while you're at it, get rid of city residency. See how it all comes back together?
Yeah.
Well, 2 of those got killed. They got the city residency passed. And then now, just a few weeks ago, the mob had to come back, right? Yep. According to the mayor, and fight against what, at first, what they were trying to do is eliminate city residency. And then we had to fight to keep it in place with a different bill.
Wow.
So again, why it seems all disconnected, it's all connected. Yeah. It's all a spider web.
Yeah, but then the question is, when they come back, I want to go back to the whole notion of this guy. Do you think there is a strategic plan? Do you think he's going to give it to a certain builder or builders? And because that's some prime property right there.
Yeah. It's a prime property that's getting federal money to put a cap over it. I think it's probably going to, if this administration has its way, they're going to try to push it right to Bicini's hands.
Oh, wow.
They have created a monopoly.
Wow.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
They got rid of a city park, Humboldt Park, and sold it to Bicini. What was it, $1?
Yeah, it was $1.
$1?
$1.
$1. A city park where, we should be talking about green space, talking about being healthy, right? Where I always saw people in the park. It was right across from Del Tech. I could walk there from my job, get some eat clean, and then sit in the park myself.
Oh, you was great.
He hot about the park. Y'all think that park
but they sold that, and now they're building the apartments there, where 1, they're going to build apartments there, 2, they're going to get downtown development funds back, right? The rebate, I think it's like 20% of whatever they put in there. They're going to get back as well, too, to go pit somewhere else. They keep taking all the parking lots downtown and building apartments. There's no parking downtown.
None.
Then, hold on, I'm not done yet because I'm really upset right now. Now there's no parking. Guess what? They have the little meter maids out there everywhere ticketing broke down cars, because I've seen meter maids walk past a Mercedes, a BMW, a Rover, and ticket the old Honda, ticket the Oldsmobile, ticket all these old cars on the same block. So you know what I did? I walked right behind them. Not a single one. Now the old cars, they didn't pay the meter, or it was expired too. But none of those meters were filled. None of them.
Wow. Y'all.
They're going to get my Honda Pilot.
and we're laughing, but this is really serious business. Yeah. This is serious business. You got the owner who there's probably a strategic plan in place already to give these up so that prime property can be given to those who have resources, and then build things there or renovate things so that it will be able to serve a different community. Gentrification is real. And for those of you who kept saying, Pastor Curry, you need to stop saying that. I use the word regentrification a lot, but gentrification is very, very real, and we have to pay attention. At one point, the city of Wilmington had about 20,000 or 30,000 more residents than it currently have now, but people are shifting people out of the city, across the state, and sometimes out of the state. And some of these little moves, they are strategic. And shame on those individuals, especially the African American and Latino council people who are aware of this. And because you want to be funded, you're allowing people to run you. We really need to start thinking, and we need to start thinking differently. I watch carefully how I'm treated, and I'm doing nothing but building things and helping people in this community. Now, whether it be Southbridge alone or just be the city of Wilmington, no one can refute the fact that all the buildings that we've built have a certain strong impact in this community. However, to hear this type of behavior, and especially about the money that goes back to them.
Yep.
A lot of stuff we had to pay for ourselves. We didn't get, matter of fact, we had no grants until this final project, and we still haven't gotten the money for the final project yet, but we had none. And we were funding this stuff for ourselves. And to hear that they get money back, to hear that there's some plans going on, this man got fined $33,000, but in actuality, he's going to probably be forgiven. And it's going to be, you just sell it to us and let's just take the property and we're going to go ahead and give it to who we want to give it to. And that's why you got to watch. And I'm going to say this, and I know it's not going to be popular. You got to watch who's going to sit in the mayor's seat next year. And again, I'm going to be very straight with you.
Again, the struggle, and I'm going to talk about this more. Actually, you know what? I'll talk about it later in the show.
Okay. All right. But we're going to end this segment, but I just want to make sure I'm clear that we better pay attention. This race matters. We'll be right back.
Tune in at 8 a.m. every Sunday for our worship services. Join us at 9 a.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live by typing E. Zion Fair Baptist Church. We are Wilmington's most exciting church.
And we're back. Well, what's going on with Shané Scoop?
Yeah, sure. So I know I missed the conversation last week about the residency update. So we know that the legislation passed.
Yes.
So that was a big moment for the city of Wilmington. We were able to get it passed. We want to get a task force set up. There's a fund that goes with it. But I know we were waiting to see if it was going to get vetoed, right? After it passed. And we know now that it was not vetoed, but it wasn't signed. So this went into law
Right.
Without the approval of the mayor or his signature. And in that time, he wrote a statement. And I know you guys talked about it before, but for me, it was very, one, I knew he was targeting me. He might as well have just said my name.
Really?
Yeah, he might as well just say my name, right? At this point, when he was talking about he was like, certain city council people, just say Darby. It's okay, bro. Just I know who you talking about, right? And I know how you feel about me, and I really don't care, right? Honestly, I really don't care. But the issue or problem with me in his statement was how he addressed the community.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, it was like calling them angry, calling them very negative tones, and then the mob word for me.
The mob.
Right?
Name calling, Donald Trump.
That is disheartening.
Yeah.
Especially in a time for me, as I sit as a city council person and I think about my 2 years and a half, almost 3 years on city council, that was the most engagement they had. Okay? And I've been looking for engagement.
Yeah.
Like the same people comes out to city council meetings, literally the same people. We know they're going to speak. All right, we'll see you. Every single city council meeting or every other month. So for me, it was exciting to see new energy, people coming out from the community to speak about what they care about. And for him to call them a mob was disheartening. So for me, I'm going to actually embrace the term now, right? We're going to embrace, I'm going to get some shirts made. We the mob. Okay. And the mob is going to come out. And the mob is going to hold you accountable. So you can call us the mob. You can say whatever you want, Mayor Mike Purzycki. And it's really probably John Rago who wrote this email.
But he had to approve it.
Yeah, he had to approve it. But John this sounds like a John Rago email because John Rago's an angry man. So miserable.
Wait a minute. He can't be an angry man. He's not black. Only black men can be angry.
Now, he's an angry, disgruntled, disrespectful man. Okay, I know for a fact. So for me, he probably wrote this email for the mayor because the mayor isn't sitting home writing emails. Somebody does everything for him as they should. He has support and should be focusing on other things, and he approves this. But it was very disheartening for them to even other things they said in here were lies, like blatant out lies about like not giving people the chance to have the conversation, talking about we really need to hire people, and that was the reason why he supported either no residency or compromising it for the whole Newcastle County. The problem is John Carney is running for Wilmington. He wants John Carney and his buddies to come to Wilmington, and he's not getting his way. You should take your L like a man. Okay? He needs to go sit home and take his L.
Actually, L means loss.
Yeah, he can go move to Bethany Beach and go rest and take his loss down there. I don't know why he announced that he's not running. He should have announced that he was ending his term that day. But really... Can
I just say this?
Yes.
And I know you have a lot you're sharing, because I left last week angry, and I'm not going to be angry today.
Yeah, I'm not.
Why is it when black people speak up, they are mob, they're angry, they're disrespectful? Why? Why is it that there have been no engagement, and when there is engagement, we are the problem?
Right. That's been sewn into the fabric of America, right? It was white slave owners, then it was people during the Jim Crow era, now it's the Purzycki administration. They're all the same. They're all the same, just a different day.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we get a shirt too, but we got to make sure that we engage this, because if we're going to be called a mob because we're speaking up for what we believe in, for what we want to happen, that's the way engagement is supposed to be.
And some of the words they just use, petty politics, bullying, they're the bullies. They are the petty. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting here for 3 years. You are the bully. You've been bullying people since day one. You've been bullying people since you've been in city council, right? So that's my problem for me is really, I don't care what anybody thinks about me or has to say about me, but it was the community part for me, right? And that was disheartening. But yeah, so that's really all I have to say about that. We are the mob. We're going to make shirts. We're going to take this. And I know as we go into the election session, John Carney is an extension of Mayor Mike Purzycki, right? So we can use the mob, and the mob is not interested in John Carney being being the mayor of the city of Wilmington. So the mob does not want that.
That's going to be very. I know you're ready to go to your next point, but this is just going to be interesting. I'm just really sitting, and I'm concerned that we have to be viewed negatively because we speak up, because we have a different view. I thought real educated people which I'm told the mayor, University of Delaware graduate, and John Ray Gold, all these brilliant minds that are sitting up in the mayor's office, I'm told that they are legitimately scholars. They're smart people. Why do you not agree and call people names when they disagree with you? I'm a scholar. I have friends who are Muslim. I have friends who are Catholic. I have friends who are Jewish. I have friends who are Palestinian. Because I was taught as a educated person, we must be diverse in our thinking and our ability to be exposed to things. When you resort to calling names because you disagree with someone, that speaks to a level of ignorance that should never be permitted. And that's where I stand on that. And I'm serious. Both of y'all are college graduates. Your professors would have gave you an F if you went to calling names when you heard a paper presented that you disagreed with. That's unfair. And people in Wilmington, you're not dumb. People of Wilmington, you are not slow. You're not a mob. You're not angry. But enough is enough. And I thank you for speaking up. And there are more issues that you need to be speaking up on. So I just want to stay there, and I'll let you go and finish your part.
Definitely thank you, because it's been sitting on city council, sometimes being a lone wolf or trying to speak out about issues and just being the only one sometimes, or having just a few people behind you. It is a heavy weight.
I saw it sometimes. That's why I was encouraging you constantly, do not give up.
Yeah, so it's a heavy weight. So people coming out, that was like, I don't really got to say nothing.
Excellent.
And the same thing that night that happened was, it was another pack night with people who supported a ceasefire for the war that's happening in Gaza with Israel and Palestine, right? And we know that on October 7th, Hamas, they attacked Israel and they kidnapped people, killed some people. It was a devastating day, right? However, we do know before that Palestine was an area occupied by mainly Islamic people, and that the Israel people believe that because of the Bible, that's their land, right? So they started the process of occupying that land. And the people there have been experiencing apartheid, discrimination, and different things like that. So when we talk about the attack on October 7th, I don't want people to think that it's a out the blue thing. Like, this was a response to something that was happening to a group of people for decades, right? Hundreds of years, whatever. If you want to go even longer to the Bible, we can talk about that. But most recently, that was that. So for me, I just think that context is important when we talk about October 7th, because a lot of times people talk about it, but we don't talk about what was happening. And am I excusing their behavior? No, I'm not.
Please make sure you hear what she just shared, because there are people who will look for something to say. I like the way you're explaining it, and you're doing a phenomenal job with it, and you were very clear. You are not excusing the behavior of either side, but for certainly for what Hamas did to Israel, you're not saying it was right for them to do it, even though there's some justification behind why they did what they did.
Right. I'm not saying it's right, wrong. I'm not approving that what happened on October 7th, but you have to understand that wasn't oh my gosh, they just start bombing them. I mean, they just start kidnapping them out the blue, right? That was not a solitude experience. It was connected to historical things that have happened to those people over decades and hundreds of years of being occupied and removed from their land. It's a lot in that, right? It's very complicated. It's a lot in it. But what's really important too that night, which I believe in duality, right? I believe I can care about being a Black person in America, and then I can also care about other issues. And there was one comment from a council person on how we need to just focus on being our Black issues. And I respect Black folks who want to do that, but then to encourage other people to do that, I think that's the problem, right? Because I wouldn't encourage you. So if a Black person told me, I only want to focus on Black issues, all right, cool. That's cool. But I would never say, well, you shouldn't do that. You should do this, right? That's not my prerogative, right? But I know that we have to be very educated and understand that there has always been some type of history between Black Americans and Palestinians, right? In regards to activism work and some of the similar experiences that are being had, right? So they talk about how Palestinians in occupied areas, they can only go certain places, right? Use certain certain things, certain roads. What does that remind you of in the United States? Right? And a very time, I didn't live in it, but we read about it, we talk about it, but we hear about a time of when Black folks were very segregated and were not afforded the same human basic rights, right? Education, being able to shop certain places, being able to just live, right? Those things are what the Palestinians are reporting happening to them, right? So for me, you have to understand it's a very similar experience in regards to oppression, the history of white supremacy, imperialism, colonialism, all of those things. And if you go back even to the Malcolm X's of the world, the SNCC movement, back in the 60s and 70s, a lot of them found allyship with the Palestinian people, right? So a lot of people did not know that night. And I think it's really important for us to educate ourselves, right? And to understand the context of what happened before October 7th. And then also as Black folks, if you are interested, instead of saying that they don't support us, that's why we shouldn't support them, don't make that your reason. If you just want to focus on Black American issues, focus on just Black American issues. That's okay. But don't use ignorance to say why you won't want to speak out about someone else who's being oppressed.
Understood.
And that's my problem. And that was my problem with that night when I heard some of the comments from a city council person. It was like, that is unacceptable. You're older than me. You lived during the 60s and 70s. And you don't know this? You didn't read this?
The same city council person who spoke out against what was happening in 2020, against people taking to the streets and protesting. Don't get it wrong. He wasn't there. One of his comments were, "Where were these people? Where was he?"
That was what I said on the floor, because he asked, "Where are the people caring about Black lives issues here?" He mentioned Black maternal health care. I turned. I said, "What in the world?" I had to turn around and look like, ain't I the one? Like, I'm one of the biggest voices about Black maternal health care. Where are you?
Being disconnected will hurt you.
Yes, you're disconnected. Yeah. And then I was like, yo, Coby did one of the biggest protests about police violence in our state. Like, what do you mean? Where have you been?
Yeah, and that's really a shame. That's a shame. But this is why people can continue to do what they do.
Yeah, for me, it's just speak facts. And don't be ignorant. Yeah. And then even if you stay firm, like stand on business on what you believe, but don't let it be on ignorance.
Yeah. What school did he graduate? Did he go to college?
I don't know.
I think he did, but I don't think
I
collegiate.
don't know what school.
But I'm very different about collegiate or formal education. That don't really mean much to me.
No, well, how they teaching it right now. But the reason why I say this is because all I'm always talking about is exposure. You don't always get what you're supposed to be exposed to, but the more you are exposed to education, the more it opens you up to get knowledge before you open your mouth.
Now, he could have Googled that.
Well,
yeah. You don't even
That's
know.
You're right. Yeah.
And you are
and they all sit there with their laptops and phones and everything.
He could have Googled that.
Clickety-clack.
Like, I didn't know much about the Palestinian connection to Black solidarity, but before I opened my mouth, I was like, let me educate myself. Yeah. Right? Because I'm hearing all these different things. I said, let me read.
I want to point out, with the protests in 2020, we had members of Delaware there, which is the Delawareans for Palestinian rights. Members, they actively reached out to see if they could come and join us during those protests. So again, Delaware also has that connection as well, too.
Yeah, and just the last thing I want to hit on real quick is the $25 parking ticket. So I want people to be able to go to the city council meeting on the 14th, because this will air before the 14th, right? So they'll be able to come to the city council meeting in support of the legislation for $25 parking tickets. So it sounds good, right? So we were promised over a year ago that by the mayor administration that tickets will go down to $25, and they have not done that yet, right? Because the legislation or ordinance has to pass. We have not had it passed yet because the mayor administration then reneged and said we don't want that anymore, right? They went back and said we don't want tickets to go down to $25. So they came up with a solution or a compromise, as they called it, with Councilmember Caber, where tickets violations if you pay your violation within 14 days, it's $25.
Oh, okay.
On day 15, it goes up to $40. So that's the compromise, right? So is it going down to 25? Yes, but for 14 days, right? Okay. There's like a in it, like that was added to it. So like a win, a lose. Like I don't know. I'm not a.
It's really a shame.
If anything, it should be where it is with the city of Newark, right? The second largest or third largest city in the state of Delaware. You have 35 days. Give people a month, and then it goes up to the higher price.
Yeah, but if
that's what they're gonna do, that's all.
But if they're gonna have a rule that it was going down the mayor's, whoever did it, and they don't do it, you can't just do what you want to do when you think about it a second time.
Well, what are you gonna be, a mob? You gonna show up?
I'm joining the mob.
You joining the mob?
It's just really sad. It's really sad.
Are you really? I mean, here's the thing. This mayor showed with the comment about the mob, comments with this, he's willing to lie to the people, right? He doesn't care about their opinion. He has zero care as long as he's lining the pockets of his fellow developers, and not even all of them, mainly just Pacini and them. He's good.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. Come out and support it. I think it's going to pass. Most city council people have are co-sponsors on it. I'm in support of it too. I'm not a co-sponsor though, because I don't like the back end of the story, but of how we got here. But I am. If that's going to pass, then that's
okay. Well, we're gonna see how it all turned out. Listen, I'm a little. My spirit is a little low right now because it's just unbelievable the stuff that we experience in city government, the stuff that we experience that's going on, from the seniors who are having to jump on the floor because of all the shooting, to the owner of a property that displaced 27 residents, and now there's maybe some strategic plan going on to get that property so that as we go on and off from 95, we got some nice development and some nice housing going on.
It's going to be some high-end apartments
It's just going to be really interesting to see how things turn out. You really got to keep your eye open. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to come right back.
Hello, my name is Eugene Young. I'm incredibly thankful to be here. I am a candidate for U.S. Congress, and I believe when it comes to Congress, it comes to service. One of my favorite lines about service is you can't lead without loving, you can't save without service. So what's the depth of your love, and what's the quality of your service? So this aspect of love and service is what brings me here before you today, and wanting to take that and extend that into Congress as we move forward. I look at my last 20 years of serving the community, and I look forward to having another 20 and being able to find more ways to even better serve the community, which has given me so much. So please feel free to join us at eugeneyoung.com. That's EUGENEYOUNG.com. That's eugeneyoung.com. If you're interested in volunteering or donating, it could be $5 a month, it could be $100 a month, it could just be a standard donation of $10. We appreciate it all. Thank you so very much, and wishing you a wonderful, beautiful day.
And we're back. Well, we had an opportunity to hear Shané Scoop. Let's hear what's going on with Coby's Corner.
Yeah, so elections are right around the corner. We have a special election down in Georgetown. We have local municipality elections coming up starting in like February. We have school board elections in May. We have the presidential election in April, and then we have our state primary in September, and then our general elections in November. So 2024 is going to be packed with elections. But I want to talk about a candidate who just filed, and actually I just learned is a line sister of Councilwoman Darby's, but Kamala Smith. She is a Black woman who lives in the 15th RD, which is Bear. It's like the outlines of Delaware City. I believe parts of Port Penn as well too. It's a newer shaped district. It used to have district. Yeah, it used to have Delaware City fully in it, the refinery and everything. She's the director of community engagement at Christiana Care. She sits on the board of trustees at the Calmar Nickel Foundation, and she is also a Gilliam Fellow from the Metropolitan Women to the Urban League. She has been working with Network Delaware in the past as well too, and an all-around very nice person, a very good person. I believe this is the first person to run against Val in the last 2 cycles. She's had opponents, but neither one of them have been serious in the past. Val is the current speaker. She represents the 15th district, and I believe she was elected in 2004.
Right.
She was first.
Yeah,
elected.
and it's interesting because, and I say this, I never had a problem with Valerie. I supported her every year she ran, to be very honest with you. Even she had other components. This year I'm concerned because when she became speaker, I invited her, to come to the Coffee Curry. I was so excited. She represents me in my district. And I just shared with her privately something that I disagreed with. And she cut me all the way off. No, I'm not coming to a show. I'm not dealing with, and that kind of behavior bothers me. We are good as long as we get along. Mm-hmm. I think we should be able to disagree respectfully and still support each other. So this is going to be interesting to see this. And it looks like the person who's running against her has some credentials.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. So I know my only thing is she just got to hit the doors. Right. That's the most important thing, because as the incumbent, Valerie is naturally going to have more money, more support from her inner circle down at the state General Assembly, who is going to support her. But incumbent is not unbeatable.
Oh, well, we know that.
And if money is nice to have, it's good to have. You need money running a campaign, but it does not tell you who's going to win, right? When I ran for state, non-neutral culture raised triple the amount I raised, but I only lost by only a few votes.
That's right. That's right.
And I only just needed a little bit more time. I really just needed, because the next few days, all absentee ballots were deemed constitutional, illegal or something like that, right? So I would have won at the polls, right? If it wasn't for the absentee ballots, right? So I just needed a little bit more time at the doors, at the polls, and I would have probably have won. But I think she has a good shot. She just has to apply all the fundamentals of running for office.
Right.
She needs to be at those doors, down, doing that work and raising money. And those needs to be her only 2 focuses. And I think she has a good chance. I think she's a great person. She has the credentials, the passion. And what my issue is that I don't have a like or dislike for Valerie for Longhurst. But I know that she's neutral. Right, she's not one of those people who will really speak out or go against the grain. But she's in the in crowd, right? Okay. And that's really my problem or issue, is that it's in the in crowd. And I know there's an in crowd down there because there's people who called me as I was running who were trying to get me to be in that in crowd. And there's certain people I know who's down there now who talks about the politics down there and about trying to be in the in crowd. And she's in that in crowd, and I think that in crowd needs to be broken up.
Interesting. That's going to be interesting. But we're going to follow that. That one I'm going to be following. So, go ahead.
And again, that area has seen change recently as well too. Someone else who was top leader of their chamber lost to a up-and-coming first-time challenger as well too, and that was back in 2020 when Marie Pickney beat Dave McBride, who was the Speaker Pro Temp. Next, we have 2 new candidates for governor. Two. So one is Gerard Price. He is a Sussex resident. He lives in Lewis. He does not have a website, does not have a Facebook as of now. So it's very little that we know about him. He's a Republican, and he filed earlier last week. And then also another person who's filed, who is no stranger to Delaware, is Colin O'Mare. He's filed a exploratory committee. Colin is the former DNRAC secretary under the Markell administration from 2009 and 2015. When they saw one of the more active periods of DNRAC. I'm a huge fan of Colin. He is now the National Wildlife Federation CEO, but when he was DNRAC secretary, they were leading the nation in reductions to air pollution, really addressing issues in Black communities, especially that Route 9 corridor, holding companies accountable, something that I wish we had right now, because Secretary Garvin leaves a lot to be wished for. He's also the chair of the new initiative called Mach 2, which is the Mid-Atlantic climate hydrogen hub that's going to be built in the South Philly, South Jersey, and Delaware region, close to like the Delaware Memorial Bridge. Okay. Again, pushing for more clean energy to be produced in this area. It's one of 12 sites that were picked by the federal government. So again, at one point in time, he was actually up to either be nominated as our EPA for the nation, which is the Environmental Protection Agency director. That ended up going to Michael Regan from North Carolina. So those are our two new candidates. They join the two Democrats, and Collins a Democrat. They joined two already announced candidates, and Matt Myers, who's our county exec, and our current lieutenant governor, who's running for governor, Bethany Hall Long. So again, it's going to be a very interesting.
2024 is going to be.
It's going to be real interesting. Next, there was a special joint committee of the state and the House housing committees that convened to kind of hear from the authors of different reports that have come out in 2023. A lot of this comes from a request and a resolution that Representative Moore from the 8th District, she was on to talk about her free universal breakfast and lunch bill on the show. This comes from a resolution she passed. But some of the highlights in it is Sussex County has the highest percentage when it comes to crowded housing, which means you have more than one person staying in a room, with 18.5% of all housing in Sussex being in that situation. Kent County sits at 8%. Newcastle sits at 12%. Also, some other statistics of the homeless population. There's about 1,300 homeless who were counted in this last year count. 60% of them are now African American. That's about 780 of them. And of students who face homelessness, 54.7% are African American, which is again, that's a different count than the 1,300, but that's 1,400 of those students who face homelessness. That's again, you have no stable housing. You're sleeping on couches, in cars, couch surfing whatsoever, without stable housing, motels, hotels, or whatsoever. So again, this report, all 4 reports that were presented, it would take me about 2 hours to break down everything. Those were some of the biggest highlights. Again, I just want to say Delaware's population, African-American population, is 22%. We make up the majority of 2 things in this state.
I know.
The prison population and the homeless population. And both of them sit at about 60%.
In a country that is the richest country in the world, in a country who funds all the wars across the world.
You mean the greediest country in the world?
Well, you can call it that too. I agree. What is my senator? What is his name? The senator from not Maine. Yeah, from he's I can't think of it.
Explain him to me.
He ran for president.
Bernie Sanders.
Vermont. I don't always agree with a lot because I'm not as liberal as he is, but he's right. There is no way we have this much homelessness. There is no reason for us to have this much, and then it's affecting. We don't always make everything a color thing, but in actuality, the data doesn't lie.
It is.
The data just doesn't lie. You got 54% of African American children who are homeless. Not good. This is not good. And I just feel bad. And when there are some people in the community who try their best to help, they get shut down, they get pushed to the curb, and people don't care. And I just hope the mob continue to pick up. That's what I hope. Because if it means we need a voice out there that's agitating, those who are in power, agitate on.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention earlier when we were talking about the AJ Pokorny buildings is that there's currently a tenant union, and I wanted to just provide that resource. So there's a tenant union that exists that provides tenants' rights workshops. So they do them about every month. If you visit cwatu.com, you'll be able to go to the events page and it'll list all the tenants' rights workshops so they can go into person and be able to get assistance before they even become homeless if they're in a home and they're renting. And there's also renter Q&A webinars where they're able, it's a small group that gets to talk to an attorney about any specific issues that they're having and how they should go about it. And then it will connect them to Classy and what's the other one? Classy and
Wilmington Housing Line?
Wilmington Housing, that's the other one that provides legal services?
They have something in there.
Okay. I feel like it's another
Delaware
one
Legal
too.
Aid.
Delaware Legal Aid.
Yes.
I couldn't think of it. Delaware Legal Aid and Classy. They'll
Okay.
connect you to them based on if you're public housing or rent or, private landlord, whatever it may be. But there is assistance out there for renters before they get to the point of being homeless. And I know that that's where we are. So I just wanted to provide that resource as we're talking about housing. It just made me think about that.
Yeah.
Next, the update on the special election. So early voting started on Friday, December the 8th, which means if you live in the Georgetown area, right? If you live in RD 37, you can go to the polls. It's at the Department of Elections warehouse, or you can go to the polls on election day, which is December 21st. I just wanted to remind people that, or if you know anyone down there, please have them go out to the polls. But next, I want to give an update on the city reparations. So we are starting to move into a phase. We are having interviews with technical writers right now. The research has been submitted. There's a lot more research that we can definitely take in during this time as well too. But in early January and February, we're looking to do a community hearing. We want to hear from the community even more. We've had good attendance at our meetings. We've had people online as well too. We've put it out in the media as best as possible. We've been trying to do that as committee members, but we really want to hear from the community. So we're going to be looking at least doing one. We'll see what council votes on the extension, how much time they actually give us to kind of work with. But we want to do at least one community town hall and hear from y'all on what you think should be addressed, any additional data points, pain points that we should be looking forward to as well too. But a part of that, and again, nothing has been voted on. So what I'm about to say is just my opinion. I did a lot of the research on housing and the criminal justice side of things. I'm making a recommendation that the city creates a housing reparations fund for both homeowners and renters in the city of Wilmington. But what I wanted to say earlier about Bacchini and Humboldt Park and why I get so upset is because we talked about that during a meeting. We talked about the housing reparations fund, and people have from the mayor's office that said, "Oh, we can't do that. We can't take," because I recommend that we use 50% of the vacant property fees to put into a fund for the next 30 years.
They're gonna say you can't allocate things.
Yes,
that's what they're gonna say.
That's exactly what they said to me.
They told me that.
I'm still going to push for that to be recommended because here's the thing. They use taxpayer monies, right, to give these rebates back to these developers. And then also, Bacchini and them on a lot of these properties are getting a 15-year tax abatement. Which means they aren't really paying taxes on these properties. This is supposed to be used. The theory of this was to entice people to come in and build in the city of Wilmington. Well, not just Wilmington, all across the nation they use this, right? To develop real estate and develop business opportunities and all this other stuff. If you can do that for them,
Right.
you can do this for us. So again, as we continue to go through this process, I'm looking to add tax abatement into it as well too, especially for our seniors as well too, who has seen their taxes raised, right? Even though we give tax abatements to these, it's made up on the back end. It's made up on our backs. So the fact that the mayor's administration has raised our water and sword almost 53% since he's been in.
Wow.
Yeah, that little increment.
Or are you just
and
saying that?
No, and it's going to go up to 58 because they voted to increase it by 5% for the next 5 years without council having to vote on it because they didn't want to have to vote on it during the election year. That's what they passed.
Oh, wow.
So again, for the next 5 years, I think we're going into year 2 now. So 4 more years of it. It's going to keep going up. I'm not saying taxes shouldn't go up because we do have to pay for the cost of the city. But everyone should be paying their fair share.
That's right.
And when you keep giving tax abatements to all these different developments that are coming, Cosby Hill, all these different high rises that are coming, it's not fair to the residents who've lived here and the residents who are growing up here.
Wow. Yeah, not good.
That's what I'll end on because I know we're out of time. And I'll have more for y'all next week. But again, I know it's going to be a fight. We're going to do our job and get it to council. We're just waiting for an extension now so that we can go ahead and do the technical writing of the report, get that first rough draft out, present that to the public as well too, and then go ahead and move towards the final steps of getting a proposal drafted, a report drafted, and getting it over to council.
Yeah, I just want to end the show today by sharing this. As I'm sitting here, I'm troubled because so much is happening. African Americans and Latinos, those who are of the human race, and that's inclusive of all. We have to stop allowing the powerful politicians to overtake us. If speaking out, if loving the city that you were raised in, your grandparents were raised in, and their parents were raised in, if being a lover of what is right causes you to be viewed as the mob, then what you need to do is accept it and continue to do it. Speak up. Speak up. It troubles me constantly as I sit between two brothers, as brother and a sister, how they are out there working, fighting. I'm in the pulpit. I'm in courthouses and I'm fighting too, but we have different fights that we do. And we get criticized and they try to kill the messengers because somebody in their righteous indignation thought we can call them the mob and it'll keep people alienated from them. But I think you have birthed a movement. I really believe saying that, because I'm told 90% of the people who were speaking were minorities. Matter of fact, 100% of the people who were speaking were minorities.
Nah, it was some white folks.
Okay, so 90%. And let me say this to you. If you think that that was going to win, you're on the wrong side of life. This is wrong. We must speak up, Wilmington. You must keep your eye on this next election. If you got an issue with people, we have to start rectifying those issues. There's some people you cannot reconciliate with because some people are just a part of a community to run back to Massa and say to Massa, this is what's going on. Then you have people who are in the community to help advance the community. Coby is a college-educated African-American male. Shané is a college-educated African-American female. Could be doing so much other things, the time going to meetings, the time making sure they organize. They could be doing so much more. But they decided, I want to give a voice to the voiceless. And when they are attacked, we should speak up. We should not allow anybody to just say things. I say this to Zion Fair. I'm your pastor. People shouldn't feel free to talk about me to you. I don't think it's fair that these individuals sacrificing their lives. I was joking at the front end of the show when I asked Shané. I said, do you have security? Because I don't put nothing past anybody. She is not liked by the administration. And her family loves her just as much as you love your family. At some point, we're going to have to start considering the people who are representing us. She's not become a millionaire. He's not become a millionaire. They're not profiting off of your pain. But they are finding themselves constantly in a struggle. There are many times on this show I've said to Shané, look, you're going to stay. She's like, I just want to get finished my year. No, you're going to, because it's heavy. It's heavy helping and supporting people who have rights and sometimes are not awakened to their rights. So I want to say to those of you who are watching us today, this is my first call to you. I'm asking you, continue to speak up. Join the mob. There's no group called the mob, but I'm going, if they get a shirt, because when you are called something because you stand up for yourself, as my grandmother used to say, you can call me what you want to call me. This is what I respond to. but don't call me late for dinner. I say that to my daughter even now. Let people say what they're going to say, but I beg you, those of you who are watching us today, speak up. And those of you who want to run and keep supporting the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, there's an end day for you as well. Till the next time we get together, all I can say is, see ya.
Take care, y'all.
Talk soon.